2025 has been a pretty good year for Ben Stiller. His show Severance on Apple TV was one of the best shows we saw this year. His New York Knicks almost made it to the NBA Finals, and he continues to be one of the top filmmakers out there, not just as a director, but an actor as well. And it made me want to go back and look back at one of his more underrated movies that he made as a director. He's directed some movies that have been really good. Stuff like The Cable Guy, the original Zoolander, and of course his masterpiece Tropic Thunder. But it was the movie he made after that that kind of came and went when it came out. I mean, it was at a point where, you know, he was still top draw overall, but when this movie came out, nobody really ever talked about it, and nobody really ever talked about it since then, and I really do feel like it's something that needs to be revisited and have a little bit of a cultural reappraisal of it, a critical reappraisal of it. So that's the subject of this video today. We're going to take a look at a classic, a very underrated Ben Stiller movie that came out not but 12 years ago, and that is, of course, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. So in The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, this is the story about Ben Stiller as a daydreamer who escapes his anonymous life by disappearing into a world of fantasies filled with heroism, romance, and action. When his job along with that of his co-worker, played by Kristen Wiig, are threatened, Walter takes action in the real world, embarking on a global journey that turns into an adventure more extraordinary than anything he could ever imagine. You know, at this point, Ben Stiller had been pretty solid as a director overall. He's only made one really bad movie as a director, and that was, of course, Zoolander 2 that came out in 2016. But, you know, Reality Bites, The Cable Guy, Zoolander, Tropic Thunder, all are really good directorial efforts. And this movie in particular was really part of a overall kind of underwhelming 2013 holiday season. I mean, we had Frozen, of course, which ended up being the big hit of the holidays, and we had stuff like Wolf of Wall Street, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. But then you got the stuff like American Hustle that really didn't fly all that well. But then again, we did have a lot of good stuff. Saving Mr. Banks, 12 Years a Slave, Her, Inside Llewellyn Davis, Rush. So there was maybe a lot more better movies in there that I initially let you on. But 2013 really wasn't a great year overall, but this is definitely one of those movies where it really should have gotten a little bit more respect back then, because it really is a well-made film. And there is a lot of I really like about this movie. For Ben Stiller in particular, his first big movie since Tropic Thunder, and this was a pretty impressive feat for him to take on a big project like this. I mean, Tropic Thunder was a big project, but this movie in particular really had a lot of great visual flair to it. I thought it was a very engaging storyline here, and it took a lot more chances than something like Tropic Thunder did. And Tropic Thunder, I think, is the better movie overall, but this one takes a lot more chances in terms of its storytelling and its visual aspects than most people, I think, probably would let on. The film itself is actually based off of a 1947 movie starring Danny Kaye, and it's essentially a remake, but a looser remake of that film. And you could definitely see a lot of the similarities and also a little bit of notable differences between this current sequel, Life of Walter Mitty, and the one that came out in 1947.
Samuel Goldwyn presents the James Thurber story that delighted millions, starring Danny Kaye, 8 times as funny in 8 hilarious roles. One as Walter Mitty, the dauntless sea rover; Anatole Mitty, the Mad Hatter; Captain Mitty, ace of aces; Dr. Mitty, the brilliant surgeon; Mitty the Kid, Western desperado; Gaylord Mitty, the riverboat gambler; and in real life, Walter Mitty, the lovable henpecked dreamer.
Walter, what's the matter with you?
The characters overall are perfectly casted. Ben Stiller does a very good job giving one of his strongest performances as an actor as Walter Mitty. You know, is also playing these fantasy counterparts pretty well too. I like the chemistry he has with Kristen Wiig, who plays his love interest in here. I mean, they both work off each other very well. Adam Scott playing the villain in this is pretty good too, perfectly playing to Scott's traits in general. He's played a good majority of villainous roles in films in the past, and he's done pretty well. Sean Penn overall was a big surprise at how much I really enjoyed him as Sean O'Connell. You also got Shirley MacLaine, Catherine Hahn, Patton Oswalt. You know, you can tell that all these people in this movie, they were well casted, and the friendship between Stiller and Oswald in particular, you could tell they developed a good friendship over the course of the film. So when they meet at the end of the movie, you do get invested in the storyline that they're going through. The fantasy sequences overall are very well done, beautifully shot. The transitions are seamless. They're very impressively done. All of them are, except for one, but I'll talk about that in just a second. The cinematography overall is really good too. You got a lot of great shots of Greenland, Iceland, the mountains of Afghanistan. The overall story works really well with the ending, especially with the ending, which at the time when I first came out of it, I didn't really like it because I got confused on what happened, but I thought a lot about the ending more to see whether or not it was a good ending or not. My big problem with it at first was that the whole movie could have been completely pointless because the main purpose of the story is in a simple place that Walter's had since the beginning of the movie. But as time has gone on, and the time that I took to see the movie and then have a day or so to get my review out of there, I thought more about it and putting everything that had happened in the final act together. I actually found myself enjoying the ending much more than I initially thought I would. There's only one scene in particular that really did bother me and really just kind of... I could see where they were coming from, but you have one fantasy sequence in particular where it's essentially a parody of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, and it just felt so out of place and had nothing to do with the plot at all, and you kind of wonder, what was the point of having that sequence in there? I mean, did Ben still like Benjamin Button that much that he wanted to do a version of that or what? Or did the writer have a grudge against Benjamin Button? I don't know. All the other fantasy sequences fit in. They made sense for every situation, except for that one. It just kind of takes you out of the film. It's been a while since I've seen that scene. And even as I watched it again recently, I didn't feel like that scene in particular was necessary. I mean, it's not something that kills the movie overall, but it just felt very weird to have that in there. At the time, the movie didn't get the best reviews overall, and I was baffled by that. I couldn't believe that this film didn't get the great reviews that it probably should have. And like I said, hopefully this will be the beginning of a cultural reappraisal of this movie, because it really is a film that definitely deserves to be seen, especially since now that Ben Stiller's on a roll now with Severance. It's a really good movie. It's a movie boasted by the strong performances, beautiful visuals, nice fantasy sequences, good scripting, and a great direction by Ben Stiller overall. And it really was one of the best movies I saw in 2013. And again, hopefully this is the start of a little bit of a cultural and critical reappraisal of the movie. People give it a chance, and they should give it a chance to see it. It's on Hulu right now. It's on Disney+. Hopefully you can find a copy of it out there on DVD or Blu-ray. But it's definitely one I highly recommend checking out. So that's my thoughts on The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. But if you want to hear my thoughts on my 5 favorite actors and actresses from last week, check out the video in the corner. Check out the playlist below. And I will see you guys next time. Till then, take care.